Yo, what's up guys, it's WackyMacky. Today, as you've seen by the title of this video, it's a sad one guys, because this channel was on John Pork's foundations guys.
The beloved pig from Ohio.
We did bring John Pork to popularity, as you can see, back in the day.
Okay, we're gonna call it. I don't know why he's calling me. He said, is this John Pork?
Yeah. Wait, one sec.
But yeah, this is a sad one because this is the end of the John Pork lore. We all know he died and we all know he was calling people. We don't fully know the lore. I mean, I gave a bit of backstory in my past videos. You might have seen that. People like Timcheese, simonclaw, Marvin Beak, sadly Ron Mutton.
As well. He's my best man, Robbie Mutt.
Ron. Wait, what about Ron Mutton?
What did you say? It's Rob.
Ron
Mutton.
Did not make it into the new lore. Real ones will remember Ron Mutton, and also Raymond Pork as well, John's dad.
Yeah, that's my bloody father, mate.
The WackyMacky John Pork lore is still canon, guys. He died. Well, guess what, guys? He got resurrected. And we're going to go straight through the new lore that came back out in TikTok a few months ago and how it slightly has died. Stay tuned. Get yourself a little bucket of pork if you want to watch this video and enjoy. Just want to say shout out to this guy. He's an upcoming YouTuber. He's got quite good videos on the John Pork lore.
John walked down a dark alleyway with his best friend Pengu when suddenly he was shot by none other than the infamous Timcheese. Revealed that Pengu wasn't the only one present at John's death scene. It was witnessed by former Congressman and Lieutenant Colonel Blackops, Agent 5.5. Back to the present, where we find out that Tim is compiling a list of his next victims. He learns about Agent 5.5, who just so happens to be on that list alongside Marvin Beak.
Basically, Agent 5.5 was the person that kind of brought back the lore, guys, in TikTok. So he was making like stupid...
Got it. 5.5 here. Just got off the phone with Pengu. He was in a meeting with the President of the United States. We're putting together funding to put TikTok back up on the air so I can find out more information concerning the case of our JP.
I don't know, he was just kind of out in public and people were filming him and asking him about law, and he was apparently like an agent that got kicked out of the agency.
Tim had a beautiful wife who we thought was loyal until he walked in on her cheating with John Pork. Through this revelation, we were able to identify the motivation behind Timcheese and why he killed John Pork in the first place.
We basically now know, guys, Timcheese killed John Pork because John Pork stole Timcheese's wife.
Tim gets a call from a familiar voice, and it turns out that John Pork is alive.
And Marvin Beak, he's not a huge part in this lore.
Marvin Beak, Agent 5.5, and John Pork will soon unite on the battlefield.
There's also simonclaw.
My name is Simonclaw. I grew into this world alone. No family, no love. My friends Tim and John were the only ones who could fill the void in my heart. I had nothing to repay them with but loyalty. But John Pork thought he could wipe off the mud and walk away like royalty. He sat in the dirt and called it home because that's where we came from. I don't blame Timcheese for what he done. John thought he could get away with taking the one thing Tim treasured more than anything. His wife. She wanted fame, and John gave her a taste of it. So when I saw the news, in the hellhole I called home for half a decade, I was not shocked. John took what wasn't his and smiled through the lie. But even pigs dressed in pearls still squeal before they die.
Who came into the lore as Timcheese and John Pork's other friend. Let's get into the simonclaw part of this lore.
John, Simon, and Tim used to be friends as kids. They had an unbreakable bond. At least that's what they thought. John rose to fame and left the slums that he and his closest friends once lived in.
It started off with Timcheese, John Pork, and simonclaw growing up together. Suddenly something happened where John Pork grew in success, he grew fame. Just before that was probably when he called me.
John Pork is confirmed to be alive, but his whereabouts are unknown. More importantly, however, an old friend is about to make his reappearance. Agent 5.5, who is currently operating on his private island, calls Pengu and says that Operation Cheese is about to commence. Tim begins forming a team of his own, the first member being Simonclaw, who's been imprisoned in a maximum facility center after being accused of something he never did.
Simonclaw is the coldest guy in the lore. He got added, but sadly at the end he kind of loses the aura that he had at the start.
Ambush on Simonclaw, Timcheese reveals himself from within the flames. He reveals that this was his plan all along, and that he didn't save Simon from prison to befriend him, but to use him as a weapon. Simon fit the role of a monster that Timcheese so desperately needed. Bunker, where Agent 5.5 pledged allegiance to the architect. John Pork had officially been revived, and balance was restored. With a new, more fearsome look, John had officially returned. Tim feels the overwhelming power emitted from the island where John Pork was revived, and immediately gets ready to engage in battle. John Pork, on the other hand, sends a message to Timcheese. He says that he's stronger than ever before, and that the only thing on his mind is vengeance. Simon begins having visions after having barely survived his encounter with Timcheese, who he sees sitting standing before him is none other than Simonclaw, and awakens from this vision to find John Pork and Agent 5.5 standing before him.
And yeah, it gets kind of complex, guys, but Simonclaw learns that timcheese was only doing it because John Pork went for his wife, and also Timon or whatever. That kind of part of the lore is what ruined it, with like their ancestors talking to them and stuff.
John, I've got something. I think I know where Tim is. I'm going to win this.
There he was, vulnerable. I almost felt sorry for him. Tim drew his weapon, but the last thing he expected was the 2 people he killed to rise from the dead, leaving him outnumbered. Still lost everything.
Again, after he just got revived, he just got rebooted, guys.
Before the standoff, Clow enlightened me to the truth.
Simon, timcheese didn't betray you. Something ancient moves through him now. A name carried in his blood. Timon.
What? Simon, you shot John. But why?
Because I know the real Tim is still alive. Take the ring off, brother.
The lore was beautiful, guys. It's just sad.
I feel alive.
As you can see, guys, that is why the John Pork lore died. In the end, there was too many different accounts, too many different things happened at the end. Everyone kind of agrees that John Pork got shot at the end by Simonclaw.
John Pork lore is back. Season 2's finally here. Simonclaw and timcheese were officially sentenced and went to prison, where one of the OG memes, Quandale Dingle, where he let them know that he'll waive all of their crimes if they hunt down Italian mafia boss Tung Soho, who recently broke out of prison. They'd agree to this and become free but be ghosts for the government. Tengu would receive a call from Italy. They pulled up to a massive mansion where Tung welcomed them and recruited them to defend him for every agency that's been chasing him after he escaped. Ghosts of the government or the Italian brainrot mafia.
And then timcheese and Simonclaw got recruited by the government to go undercover to take out the Italian brainrot mafia. But guys, that is sadly, in my opinion, where the lore dies. What's your guys' thoughts? Do you guys think season 2 with the Italian brainrot mafia could be good? But yeah, in my opinion, the John Pork lore has died now. Somehow, if he is still alive, it doesn't really make sense. I'm guessing he just got rebooted by Agent 5.5 again. Subscribe, like if you want more. If you want to go into the Italian brainrot mafia, drop in the comments. Peace out.
Get it stirring in your eyes. I see paradise, looks so nice. I had to look back at the mulligan twice. So much being in paradise. Ayy.